Hello, parents, teachers, caretakers, and grandparents. Thank you for coming back again and again and again. We started something very interesting. The last 3 sessions that we have done, we said the crisis of spiritual infancy, we addressed that. The crisis of chronic busyness, we addressed that. The crisis of complacent carnality, we addressed that. And finally, today, the most important is the crisis of family disintegration. The crisis of family disintegration. What's happening? Our families are breaking down left, right, center. We, in our own spaces, especially at least in India, with all the different teenagers that I talk to, young people that I talk to, parents that I talk to, I think we have learned to live life inside the house. And we learn to pretend to the outside world that things are okay. But families are breaking down. There are people inside the house living who are in their own rooms, in their own corners, in their own spaces, who don't want to even connect with each other. I want to say this. One of the places where the enemy, the devil, attacks is that institution of family. Yeah, because he knows if that family institution is broken down, if that family institution is destabilized, everything else falls in place and he can capture everything else. And what is our Heavenly Father very interested in? Our Heavenly Father is very, very interested in that family integration, not disintegration. In that family unity, in that place of family vibrancy. That's what our Heavenly Father is very, very interested. You might be wondering, these are all known truths, George. We have heard this several times. I know. And I just want to say this, these IDTNG conferences, the IDTNG episodes and all of these things, there's nothing new under the heaven. There's nothing new under the heaven. There's nothing out of the blue that's going to come. These are all reminders that we need to remind ourselves. We need to come to a place. We need to come to a place to see how our children, our teenagers can be redeemed back in our own family spaces. Now, the legacy that we leave with our children is going to be the most critical thing. And one of the legacy in that places of leaving a legacy, one of the key things that we have to do is how we can connect together as a family, how as a family together we can worship God. Now let me just put this beautifully. I love Abraham, I love the biblical times, or how the families would gather around the dining table, would gather around the altar. And what is that one thing that they would talk? They would always talk about the goodness of the Heavenly Father. They would always talk about the goodness of God, of how God had done things in the past, how things He had worked out in the past, and they would always talk about it. Why they would talk about it? It's more we begin to remember, more we begin to realize the things that God has done, God has been doing, the Heavenly Father has been doing, and we remember them with gratitude, with thanksgiving. The faith is built up inside the family. So when we gather around the dining table, let's not talk about anything else. Let's talk about some wonderful things that the Heavenly Father is doing in our own lives. Wonderful ways that the Heavenly Father has answered our prayers. Wonderful ways the Heavenly Father has redeemed some of those spaces. Why? That is where that faith sprouts up. That is where our children, our teenagers, their faith will get built up. Please understand this. There is a crisis of family disintegration, and we need to step in our own spaces. We need to secure our children. We need to secure our teenagers before it is too late. Before it is too late. I've said this several times in some of these episodes. If we are not stepping in to secure our children, to capture our children, there is somebody else is going to step in to capture our children, and they are going to be taken away. I think we need to step in. Thank you so much for coming back and listening to these episodes. I know you've been blessed. If you're blessed, please do share this with your friends. And please share, even if you're not going to share even these episodes, with what you're hearing, please start sharing with your own voices, in your own spaces, to people that you know. It's important that we speak out. This is not a time for us to be quiet. We need to speak out.